Hi everyone, this is Tuplex, and welcome back to this month's episode of Space Exploration. I say that kind of in jest, but I do realize that it's the middle of March and the last episode was at the end of February, so I haven't given up. I'm going to keep going, just to put any fears at rest. But it is a bit of a slow process, and I've been playing other games, and I'm doing a new multiplayer series now with JD, which is taking up some time. So I understand the content in this series has been slow to be released, but I'll see what I can do to pick things up here. In any case, I played this map on stream a little while ago. Last weekend, actually, and made a fair bit of progress. I did it on the stream because I wanted to try to get some help from some of my supporters and some of the guys on Discord, because it is rather complex, and you can spend a lot of time goofing around and not making much progress if you're new to it, like I am. So I've been getting some assistance and advice, which is greatly appreciated. And I made a little bit of progress, which I'm going to go over now. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because I did a 3-hour stream, and I'm pretty sure that I can explain everything that I did in about 20 minutes or so. So doing it this way is kind of a way to compress things down a little bit. But in any case, what we did the last time was, first of all, you'll notice I've got these flat solar panels that I can walk on. So I started to build those up here in space. So let's take a look at that first. Actually, let me turn this music down just a tad. It's a little bit too loud. There we go. So I've got two machines here. One is making the actual solar panels, which consist of vanilla solar panels plus these multispectral mirrors. And then the multispectral mirrors I'm making here. Now those use a variety of components. They use heat shielding, low density structure, glass, steel plate, lubricant, and chemical gel. And all those together give me the mirrors. I have them turned off right now because I've already accumulated a fair amount of these solar panels. So I removed the inserter between these machines for the moment. But so for the mirrors, we're feeding it with bots essentially. So we've got one bot that's requesting the heat shielding, the low density structures, the glass, and the steel. And then those insert here, and then here I have the lubricant coming in with barreled lubricant, and then the chemical gel is coming through the fluid system that we've already put into place. And all of that is working fine. So this makes the multispectral mirrors. We also get some scrap out of it. Looks like we get one scrap for every mirror. So the scrap comes out with this filter inserter into an active provider where that can get processed. And then normally I'll have an inserter there that puts the mirrors in here to make the solar panels. And right now I've got, let's see, there's 156 of them. And I've already put some down. So what I'm doing is I'm slowly starting to replace. Well, first of all, I'm using them to kind of extend a path out to the sides, and then I'm starting to replace the panels down here with these panels. They are different sizes, so we do need to be aware of that. But for example, I can remove this row of vanilla panels, and then I can put down another set of the flat solar panels. And these provide, let's see here, These provide 400 kilowatts each, and they're 4x4 tiles versus 60 kilowatts in a 3x3 tile. So 3x3 is 9, 4x4 is what, 16. So it's about, it's about 1.5, 1 2/3 regular panels. So we could say it's approximately about 4 times as much power per tile that you get from these, and you can walk on them. Now with the squeak through mod, you can walk through these panels, so even this isn't too bad. But this does give us a lot more electricity in a smaller amount of space. So as you can see now, we've got 221 megawatts available, which I think is pretty good. And actually, let's see. I haven't really come up with a pattern here for the substations in this. So actually, I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick up all of this now. And then I'll try to come up with a nice way to arrange these panels with substations so that we can start to, to print out solar arrays. Okay. Good. So let's see here. Now one thing we've got going for us is that the substations are 2x2 and the panels are 4x4, so we're dealing with even numbers. I don't know how much of an advantage that's going to give us, but let's see if we can come up with a pleasing design. Something that is aesthetically pleasing as well as functional. That would be the ideal. Okay, so I'll go ahead and grab those, and we'll see what we can come up with here. Yeah, I guess the simplest way would be just to do something like this. Although that does leave... No, I think we'll want to put these closer together. Let me clear these out. Okay, yeah, so we could do something fairly simple like this. Yeah, looks like maybe 3 panels in between. And then a substation right in the center. Another 3 panels. And another thing that we could try is, I wonder how it would look if we just... If we did that, then we could have 4 panels between. Right? And that one would go down approximately there. Let's see. Let's see how this would work. This is a little bit tighter in terms of density. I'm just trying to figure how I would tile this. What if I just consider this to be like one section? Yeah, it would have to do, yeah, it would have to be something like this, right? Or let's try it this way. Let's get rid of this one. Let's see how this works. No, that's not going to work very well. It's not really tileable this way, is it? Just because this middle one. Okay, so I think I'm just going to, even though it's not quite as space efficient, I think I'll simplify it. And we'll just move them like this. So we'll just do, you know, a square array, let's call it, like that. Oops. So that's, what, 5 by 5 panels? And we'll just tile them like this. Except these aren't touching now, are they? Yeah, those don't reach. I would like them to connect one to the other. Yeah, that's as far as I can go. So we'll have to make it 3 in between each. Okay. So then if we did this, then that would work. Yeah, 3 in between. So there's some overlap here. Okay, and I need 3 more. So let's cut out those 2. And yeah, we'll cut out that one too. I'd rather have it over there. Okay, so how much power do we have now? 408 megawatts. So that's pretty good. And then I'll dump out these solar panels. We'll get rid of that additional flat panel. And then let's start making more. And let me count how many I have here, and I'll just limit the chest to, you know, maybe just to double this every time. Yeah, so I'll just limit the chest to 200 panels so that we don't go crazy making these mirrors. Let's get that connected. Flat solar panel, we'll do 200. And it looks like there's a flat solar panel 2 and a flat solar panel 3, so so probably we'll end up replacing all this at some point anyway. Now, one thing I was a little disappointed to learn is that, see this nice pathway that is really fast when I walk on it? That's the space platform, which is this thing. You start, when you first get to orbit, there's some of this stuff already here, so that's how I'm walking on it. And it's really nice to walk on. We get 150% walking speed, and I don't think it's possible to put stone brick or concrete or anything else up here. Although it doesn't say that you can't. It doesn't say you can't put it in space. I wonder if I don't think I have any stone brick up here, though, to test it. No, it doesn't look like I do. So that might be something we could try, because the scaffolding itself is pretty slow to walk upon. I don't have any on me, but we could check. Actually, let's not put that in the trash. Let's just put that directly into the machine. There we go. Let me see here. Scaffolding. I want to see what the walk speed of the scaffolding is. Well, maybe I can see it here. 75%. Okay. So it's actually slower to walk on the scaffolding than it is to walk on dry land back on the planet. I love walking on this path, but the panels, the solar panels, don't offer any kind of speed increase, unfortunately. It would be nice if they functioned the same as the plating and were less expensive. Or let's say more expensive than the plating. I think that would make sense, but it doesn't work that way. So even though we can walk on this stuff, it's still pretty slow to walk on. Okay, so that's it for the solar panels. So we got that done. Now let's take a look. Let's take a look back on the planet, on Nauvis, and I'll show you what we did down there. So one of the things that I wanted to do is to start to use some of the Vulcanite that I've been accumulating down here. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of it. I doubled up on my production of these Vulcanite cubes because this warehouse is practically full of Vulcanite. And then we got to crush the Vulcanite, then we have to wash the Vulcanite, and then we can make the washed Vulcanite into these Vulcanite cubes, where I have it going into these chests. So if we go into FNEI, for example, and we look at, let's just look at iron plates. We have two recipes for iron plates. Okay, so one of them is the standard recipe that we all know and love, where we take one iron ore and we turn it into one plate. Fair enough, simple to understand. But there is a better recipe, and that's this one, where we can take 8 iron ore and 1 Vulcanite block and convert that into 12 plates. So this is actually a ratio of 1.5 plates per iron ore by just adding Vulcanite blocks to the process. And then we make those in industrial furnaces, or if we're going to do it in space, we can make them in the thermodynamics facility. So, so I decided to set up another smelting area down here, where we are making iron plates using the Vulcanite recipe in these industrial furnaces. Now the furnaces themselves have a crafting speed of, well, it's 0.8 right now because I have productivity modules on all of these. So this is actually a little bit on the slow side. But I left room in between, number one, so I could put roboports, and number two, because later on we're going to get access to these wide area beacons. These guys, which operate kind of like the beacons that we use in vanilla, except they hold a lot more modules. Yeah, they can take 15 module slots, or 20 when upgraded. I'm not sure what the upgrade means. But at least 15 modules. And it has a range of 14 tiles rather than 3 tiles. Now with these beacons, the way that these work in space exploration is that, typically in vanilla, you would see, you would have a machine with productivity modules, and then it would be completely surrounded by beacons. And that's how you maximize your output, using the least amount of modules possible. But with the wide area beacons, you can only have one beacon affect each machine. If you try to cover a machine with more than one beacon, then they cancel each other out. Let's see, beacons. Yeah, you get this effect called beacon overload. So crafting machines can only be affected by one beacon. If affected by more beacons, they overload and pause production. Okay. So the nice thing about that is that you have what I think is more it allows you to have designs that are focused on the production machines and not just a screen full of beacons with a few production machines stuck in between them. Right. So so once I have access to those, I will be able to put those beacons, since they're the same size as a RoboPort. You know, I'll be able to put a few beacons along here in between each of these rows to increase the speed of these machines. But for now, I'm happy to let them run slowly. You know, they've got 5 productivity 3 modules in each one, so we're getting a 40% productivity bonus and a 80% speed reduction. Normally those buildings have a crafting speed of 4. Normally they have a crafting speed of 4, which is twice as fast as an electric furnace or a steel furnace. But obviously they hold 5 modules instead of, I think an electric furnace only holds 2 modules. If I remember correctly. So they can hold a lot of modules. All right, so basically what I'm doing is, you know, from the same source of iron ore that I'm using to feed the regular smelting, I have this. I'm taking 3 belts out because with this other recipe, we can make 4 belts of plates with only 3 belts of ore, and that doesn't even include the effect of the productivity modules. So it's actually even better. So I only have 3 belts of ore going down there, and then I have, you know, the 1 belt of the Vulcanite blocks, and those come down here. And then here I just make these combined belts of Vulcanite and ore that feed into each of these machines. Let's take a look at one that's working. So you can see that, you know, it makes 12 plates at a time, but it has a 24-second crafting time. Plus this, you know, which in a machine with no modules, it would take 6 seconds, since it's a crafting speed of 4. But in this case now, with the modules, the crafting speed is 0.8, so it's actually taking probably closer to 30 seconds to make these plates. All right, so I have 4 sets of these, each one feeding a red belt, and then I run these up the path. And then what I did here on the output of my normal iron smelting, I set it up so that we prioritize using the plates from the new recipe. Okay, so these 4 belts go into here, and then we have our output belts on the output side of this warehouse. And then my original smelting area, I still have feeding in, but then these are set up so that these belts will only turn on if we have less than 400 iron plates in the warehouse. So as long as this keeps putting plates in, then we won't use this anymore. But I wanted to keep the original smelting in place, because if I run out of Vulcanite blocks, are they blocks or bricks? I want to make sure I'm using the right terminology here. Whoops. Blocks, okay. Yeah, so this way, if we do run out of Vulcanite blocks and this stops, we have our backup iron plate production that we can use. Okay. Now this setup, if it's running at full speed, this will consume 2.1 Vulcanite blocks a minute. Whereas this Sorry, was that 2 a minute or 2 a second? 2 per second, 2.1 per second. Whoops, I wasn't done there yet. So this will consume 2.1 per second. And if we look at our production statistics, let's look at Vulcanite blocks. Right now we're making about 90 a minute. Okay, so right now we're making around 90 a minute of these Vulcanite blocks. 2 point something per second is over 120. So the reason I tell you that is because with this running at full speed, it's not enough to keep this running at full speed indefinitely. Eventually we'll use up all the Vulcanite, which is why I want to keep the backup smelting in place. And that's also why I'm only using this for iron plate, not iron and copper. Although I am curious, one thing I didn't check, I wonder what else. I can use it for copper plates. I can use it, oh, okay. You can use it for glass, iron, iridium ingots. We can use it to make stone brick. You know, other stuff that I don't know what to do with yet. Okay, so you can't use it for steel, unfortunately. That would be nice, but yeah. So that's the new smelting recipe, and that's what I'll try to use from now on. Now, the other thing is that we can get Vulcanite in much greater quantities off-world. So, for example, I was looking at our. Let's look at the star system map. Here we go. Right, so we've got this planet, which is in the orbit closer to the star from us. And this planet has quite a lot of Vulcanite on it. So if we take a look at the surface here, right here there's Vulcanite ore on the surface. And I assume that if we do core mining here on this planet, that we'll also get quite a lot of Vulcanite from the core samples. Because there are different types of core fragments. Right, so here's a Vulcanite core fragment. What does this give us? Okay, and that'll give us 10 Vulcanite, or 16 of those will give us 10 Vulcanite plus 5 regular core fragments plus stone. Okay, so if we do core mining on this planet, we'll get a lot of Vulcanite, and then there's also a lot on the surface that we can mine. So even though I'm kind of limited in how much I can use those better recipes on the surface of Nauvis just from the Vulcanite that I have from the core mining, we are able to get a lot more Vulcanite from other sources. So I have that on my to-do list to start mining Vulcanite on another planet, and we'll get to that in fairly soon in an upcoming episode. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to discuss is science. So I wanted to start making the astronomic science packs, which is one of the next tiers of science that we can do. So I did some planning using our planning tool here in Helmod. And initially I was looking for a recipe to give me 45 per minute of these science packs, and I ended up with a huge factory. It was going to be like a couple gigawatts power requirement. It was going to have hundreds of telescopes. And that's the reality. To get large quantities of these science packs, it takes a very big setup. So I decided instead I would just start small, kind of like I did with the space science packs. go for something somewhere along the scale of one of each building. So what I did here is I just built the basic production chain, which we'll go into here in a minute. And then I said, okay, what buildings would I need to get 45 per minute if I have wide area beacons and each one has 15 speed modules? And these are speed module 6s, by the way. So this is down the road, right? So I figured I'll build it with the ability to speed it up as time goes by adding beacons and modules. We could start with module 3s and then gradually upgrade those to module 6s or even beyond that, depending on how things go. And by doing that, by assuming that we would have these beacons, even though I don't have them yet, I came up with this design. And if we look at this, right, this tells me this is a much more reasonable build, right? 1 space manufactory, 2 supercomputers, 4 astrometrics facilities, and 12 telescopes, 4 for each type, just to do the basic science layout. Okay, so I put together a little layout here, but this is really just to demonstrate the flow of the build, because like I said, I want to build this with the ability to add beacons to it later, and I didn't account for that. I don't have enough space here to do that right now. So this will have to be adjusted, but this is the basic layout. So what we would have here is we would have 4 telescopes of each type of observation. So one is doing UV observations, one is doing infrared, and the other one is doing visible light. Okay, so 4 of each of those. Each one of these takes cold thermal fluid, -100, and outputs warm, what I'm calling warm thermal fluid, which is just 25°C. Room temperature, we could call it, which will have to be circulated back to get chilled again. So we got 4 of each of these. These are going to output observation frames of their individual spectras. The observation frames can come down here. They'll go into these astrometrics facilities, and we'll turn, for example, UV observation frames plus a blank data card. We will turn into UV observation frames, or I'm sorry, it will turn into UV observation data. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong section. Down on the bottom are the products. So 90% of the time we'll get UV observation data. 9% of the time we'll get junk data, and 10% of the time we'll get scrap. Okay, so we'll have UV observation data on a card, we'll get infrared observation data on a card, and we'll get visible observation data on a card. All 3 of those will feed into this machine, which will make the astrometric data by doing the multispectral astrometric analysis 1. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Okay, so that'll give us 3 astrometric data by using 1 of each of those data cards. That is going to feed into the first supercomputer, which will make an astronomic catalog. And all these buildings have to be chilled, well, except for these 3. All the buildings have to be chilled with cold thermal fluid. Right, so here we'll take the 3 different types of data plus the multi-spectrum analysis, and we'll turn that into an astronomic catalog. Some of those catalogs will go into the Science Pack machine. Some of the catalogs will go into this supercomputer, which will turn it into astronomic insights. And the astronomic insights will also feed into here, along with beryllium plate and significant data. And we'll get our science packs. Whew. It's complicated. Oh, and by the way, this plan does not include the production of significant data, which I'll have to work out. This does not include the production of the blank observation frames, which I'll have to work out, or the blank data cards. Now, blank data cards we're already making for the other science packs, right? I think that's what I'm doing here. Oh, no, here. These are the blank data cards. Right, so we may need to scale this up. In fact, we probably will have to scale this up because I doubt that a single machine will be able to feed both operations. So at some point we'll probably need a separate production area that's just making blank data cards that we can feed into these other processes. And this plan also does not take into account the production of all the cold thermofluid that we're going to need. Okay, so that all needs to be added to the plan. But to begin with, I just wanted kind of a basic setup that's going to show me what we need to make the science packs and just get a small production setup going. Now, you will notice that these science packs take one astronomic catalog and one astronomic insight to make, and we also need astronomic insights Sorry, I'm getting myself confused again. Oh, okay. Yeah. They both take catalogs in order to make the astronomic insights. And actually, I think you need the astronomic insights to make the significant data as well. Yeah, you do. So, so here's the other thing. To begin with, what I'm probably going to have to do is make a batch of make a batch of significant data with all the astronomic insights that I make. And then once I've accumulated some, then start putting those directly into the machine here and combining those with the data that we made. So we'll kind of have to do this in stages to make these science packs. And it's going to be slow, but at least we'll be making some progress. Because if I were to include the significant data from astronomic simulation, for example, this means I'm going to need another 202 per minute astronomic insights, right? And if we include that recipe, then that's when all this blows up into a huge factory. So that's why I'm not including it right now. I'm just going to do it in batches. So we'll use this whole production chain up to here. We'll use to make significant data first. We'll accumulate a stack or two, and then we'll switch over to making science packs, and then we'll switch back and back and forth until we get to a point where we can scale it up more realistically. Right, just this setup is going to use 237 megawatts, and that doesn't even include the cooling yet, right? And right now I've only got 414 megawatts of production available, so, or of power, I should say. So you can see why I wanted to start small with this. Okay, so what additional research can we do? I think I've done all the research that I can do right now. Okay, so we can do lab research speed. All right, yeah, I do have some of this military stuff we can do. We could do tool belt. Might as well get that one done. But a lot of these other tech unlocks are going to require additional science packs, which we don't have yet. Right, artillery shooting speed. So let's do tool belt. Let's do lab research speed. Braking force. Yeah, why not? I don't really care about that too much. At least not now. And then we could do more levels of swarm safety. All right, we'll just add, might as well just add a level to that. And that's about it. So, so once we do get the astronomic science packs available, because they will be crafting so slowly, we'll want to be fairly picky about what we research. And what I'm thinking is that we start with rocket survivability, rocket reusability. You can see that these only take 8 science packs each, right? So this kind of supports starting very small and then scaling up. I'm not sure how much the additional levels take. I guess we could find out. Let's start with rocket reusability. And if we put that on up there, then the next level takes 16. Yeah, so they're fairly inexpensive. And we want to get those scaled up enough so that it becomes a lot cheaper to launch rockets back and forth between the planets. Okay, so that's as far as I've gotten. So I think in the next episode, what we can do is we can plan out the production of the blank observation frames, the production of the significant data, and the cooling. And we'll work that out, and then we can start to build the thing. Now, for the beryllium plates, that's a whole other ball game. Beryllium plates are not easy to make. Right, this is the production chain for beryllium plates, and we need beryl ore, and we also need cryonite, and that's going to have to come from 2 separate planets. So the good news, though, is that again, when you get to orbit for the first time, among the items that are waiting for us up here, we do have 5 stacks of 200 beryllium plates each. Okay, so we can get started doing Tesla gun ammo. Yeah. So we can get started doing the rocket survivability research. That's what I'm going to do first before I do anything else. I'll do as much as I can on rocket survivability and reusability and cargo safety using those 1,000 beryllium plates. And then once I've spent all those, then we're going to start to set up outposts on other planets and moons to get the beryllium and the cryonite that we need to make more beryllium plates. So that's the plan going forward. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to continue this without waiting another month. So it shouldn't be too long before you see the next step in this plan. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.